Hi, I'm Olivia, 28, and food's been my passion forever. My dream of running a food business hit a wall early on. My family didn't back me. When I started my little food stand, my parents just laughed. "This is a phase," they said. "You'll never make it. You need a real career." Ouch. Still, I pushed on, fueled by stubborn hope. Now, I've got a story to share about chasing what I love despite the doubts. But first, I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe, like, and tell me where in the world you're listening from. I'm dying to know where my tale's landing. With little to no support, I used my savings to buy a food cart and rent a space at a local market. I'd dreamed of this for years, but the reality hit hard. The early days were a struggle. Customers barely glanced my way, and my parents' constant criticism made it tougher. They didn't see the value in my idea. "Why don't you just get a real job?" my mom would say, her voice heavy with disappointment. Each word felt like a jab, but I was too stubborn to back down. The market was alive, vendors hollering, the air rich with spices and frying oil. My cart, painted in cheerful yellows and reds, stood out, offering empanadas and churros I'd spent hours perfecting. But the crowds passed me by. The few who stopped gave polite nods, their lack of enthusiasm loud in their silence. At home, it got worse. One night, my parents visited the stand. Mom surveyed it with a frown. "Olivia, when will you give this up for a stable job? This isn't a career." Dad nodded. "We just want what's best. This won't last." I swallowed tears. It's my dream. I'm not stopping. They left, unconvinced. Their doubt hurt more than I'd admit, carving a hollow space in my chest. But I couldn't let it win. Every dawn, I was up, chopping, mixing, frying, pouring love into every bite. I tweaked recipes, studied cookbooks late into the night, and even took online classes. I spruced up my cart with bright signs and flowers, desperate to draw eyes. One day tested me hard. Hours passed with no customers. Defeat crept in. Maybe they were right. As I packed up, a woman approached. "I've heard good things about your food. Can I try something?" Shocked, I made her an empanada with care. She bit in, smiled. "This is amazing. I'll tell my friends." That spark kept me going. Bit by bit, things shifted. Regulars trickled in, praising my food, spreading word. It wasn't big, but it was mine. With every sale, my grit grew. I'd show them, and myself, this could work. I couldn't stop pushing forward. After those first shaky months, I spent hours perfecting recipes, adding new items to my menu, and making sure my food stand stood out. I'd wake up before the sun, hands dusty with flour, testing new spice blends until my kitchen smelled like a dream. A regular asked for something plant-based, so I crafted a vegan empanada, crisp, savory, and soon a top seller. Then came the mystery flavor churro, a risky move that paid off when curious faces lined up to guess the taste. My little cart transformed with bold signs and the warm aroma of fresh food wafting through the air. Slowly but surely, I started getting repeat customers. Mr. Torres, a gruff old man, showed up every Wednesday for his empanada, muttering, "Not bad, kid." A pack of college students made my churros their Friday ritual, grinning through cinnamon-dusted lips. Seeing those familiar faces week after week hit me hard. I was finally starting to build something. Their offhand compliments like, "Olivia, you've outdone yourself," lit a fire in me. Every sale, every smile proved I was on the right path. My family, though, stayed skeptical. One Sunday, they stopped by again. Mom scanned the bustling line, her lips pursed. "It's doing better, I'll give you that," she said, her tone clipped. Dad just shrugged, arms crossed. "Still a gamble, not a real job." Their words prickled, but I swallowed my frustration. Despite the success, they never truly acknowledged my work. They were too proud to admit they'd doubted me. I didn't need their praise anymore, but it still stung. Then came the big leap. I'd scraped together enough to expand. rented a second cart, and even dreamed of a tiny kitchen space. I dove into marketing, sketching flyers late at night and snapping photos of golden empanadas for a social media page. It felt daunting, but electric too. I hired Mia, a quiet high schooler, to handle the rush. Teaching her to fold dough, watching her shy smile grow, filled me with a strange, warm pride. This wasn't just a stand anymore. It was mine, built from grit and hope. And it worked. The second cart drew bigger crowds, and strangers online called it a must-try spot. I wasn't just scraping by, I was growing. Every sore foot and sleepless night had led here, to this quiet victory I'd carved out, one bite at a time. Business was picking up, the stand buzzing with new faces every day. I'd poured everything into it, every early morning, every late night tweaking recipes. But there was still a hollow spot. My parents' approval. They'd never understood why I'd chosen this over a steady paycheck. So I invited them to see it for themselves, hoping they'd taste my food and finally get it. It was a bright Saturday, the market alive with chatter and the smoky scent of grilling meat. I'd scrubbed the cart spotless, set out a vase of daisies, and spent hours on a new dish, empanadas stuffed with spiced beef, a recipe I'd perfected just for them. My hands shook as I plated them, but my heart swelled with hope. Maybe this would be the day they'd see me. They arrived around noon, Mom in her neat sweater, Dad with that familiar frown. "Hey," I said, too eager, shoving the empanadas their way. "Try these, they're special." They took slow bites, chewing like they were solving a puzzle. Then Dad set his down. "It's fine," he said, "but not something I'd pay for." Mom chimed in. "Too much spice, Olivia." "It's overwhelming." My chest tightened. I'd spent days on that recipe, imagining their smiles. Instead, their words cut deep. "Thanks for the feedback," I mumbled, forcing a smile. Inside, I was breaking. I loved them so much, but their lack of support still stung. I needed them to believe in me, just once, and they couldn't even pretend. We sat at the little table I'd dragged out, the market's noise swirling around us, vendors shouting, oil sizzling, kids darting past. But it was quiet where we were. Mom sipped her water and sighed. "Olivia, we're glad you're trying, but this isn't sustainable. You're wasting your time." Dad nodded. "You'd never get ahead working like this. Just get a real job, something solid." Their voices dragged up every fear I'd fought to bury. I felt small again, like the girl who'd started with a rickety cart and no clue. But then I looked around. Customers lined up, their chatter warm, my little world thriving. This was real. I'd made it real. "I hear you," I said, my voice steadying, "but this is my life. I'm not giving up." They frowned, unconvinced, and left with stiff hugs. Watching them go, I felt that old ache, but also a spark. They didn't see it yet, but I did, and that was enough. The market pulsed with life that morning. Grills hissed, vendors called out, and the air carried the warm scent of spices and fresh bread. My stand was a small island of chaos and triumph, customers crowding around, their voices blending into a hum of approval. I'd scratched this dream into existence with my own hands, and standing there, wiping sweat from my brow, I felt a spark of pride. But it wasn't enough. A restless itch gnawed at me. I wanted more, not just survival, but growth. That's when I made up my mind to take my food stand to the next level. It wasn't a fleeting thought. It was a deep, burning certainty that had simmered since the day I'd first set up my rickety cart. I'd saved what I could, but my vision demanded more. A larger space, a second cart, maybe even a prep kitchen. So I swallowed my nerves and borrowed money from a few friends who'd seen my hustle and believed in me. It felt like standing on a ledge, thrilling and shaky all at once, but I trusted what I was building. I had to. With the cash in hand, I expanded. I rented a prime spot at the market center where the crowds thickened and bought a second cart. Shiny, solid, a real step up. I couldn't do it alone anymore, so I hired help. Diego, a quiet kid with nimble fingers, and Rosa, an older woman whose hands worked dough like magic. Training them was strange, letting go of control, but seeing Diego flip a perfect empanada or Rosa smile as she plated an order, I knew it was worth it. This wasn't just mine now. It was bigger than me. Then my family caught wind of it. I hadn't meant to tell them. Small towns talk. But one night my parents showed up at my door, their faces carved with judgment. "Borrowing money, Olivia?" Mom's tone cut like a knife. "For a food cart? You're throwing everything away." Dad crossed his arms. "This is a huge mistake. You're being reckless." Their words hit hard, stirring a flicker of doubt. What if they were right? What if I'd overreached? But then I pictured the market, the bustle, the loyal customers, the life I'd created. I thought of Diego's focus, Rosa's steady rhythm. This wasn't a mistake. It was mine, built from grit and hope. "I'm not turning back," I said, my voice firm, unshaken. "I've worked too hard for this." They blinked, caught off guard by my steel. "You don't have to get it," I added, softer but resolute. "This is my choice." They left, their silence a heavy weight, their doubt louder than ever. It stung, knowing they didn't trust me, didn't see what I'd poured my soul into. I'd fought for their support, bent over backwards to prove myself, and still nothing. But I was done chasing their faith. The pain fueled me now, a fire to show them and myself that I could stand tall. Let them judge. I was building something real, and no one would stop me. The market hummed with life that afternoon. My 2 carts swarmed by customers eager for my goods. After months of sweat and doubt, my business was thriving, a dream I'd clawed into reality. I was tallying the day's earnings, a small smile tugging at my lips when my phone buzzed. My mother's name flashed on the screen. "Olivia," she said, her voice shaky, "we need to talk. It's urgent." That evening, I stepped into their house, a place once brimming with pride, now shadowed by chaos. The living room was a mess, papers strewn across the table, an empty coffee mug tipped over. My father sat slumped in his chair, his stern face softened by defeat. My mother fidgeted, her hands twisting together. "We've lost everything," she blurted. "Bad investments. We're in debt, Olivia. We might lose the house. We need your help. Money to survive." I froze, the words sinking in like stones. "You need money from me?" I whispered, my voice trembling with disbelief. "From the business you mocked, the one you said would never work?" My father's eyes met mine, weary and desperate. "We were wrong," he muttered. "You're doing well now. You're our only hope." Their admission should have felt like victory, but it burned instead. All those years I'd craved their support, and now they only saw my worth because they were drowning? Confusion churned inside me, then anger flared. "I've given you everything," I said, my voice rising. "My time, my heart, while you laughed at my dreams. And now you want me to save you?" My mother stepped closer, reaching out. "We're family, Olivia." I pulled back, shaking my head. Family doesn't tear each other down. I've built something for myself, and you want to take it? It's not fair. My father's voice cracked. "We're not taking. We're asking." But I saw it for what it was, another weight to carry. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I've given you all I could," I said, my tone firm despite the ache in my chest. "But now, it's my time to take care of myself. I won't let you keep taking from me." Silence crashed over us, their faces a mix of shock and pain. They left without a word, and as the door closed, I felt the sting of loss, but also the strength of standing tall. After that night, I didn't let them take advantage of me anymore. Instead, I focused on my food stand and turned it into a successful small business. The confrontation with my parents had lit a fire in me, not anger, but resolve. I'd spent years proving myself to them, only to realize I didn't need to. so I worked harder than ever. Mornings blurred into evenings as I perfected recipes, tweaked my menu, and planned my next steps. The market's chaos, the chatter of vendors, the hum of footsteps, the scent of sizzling oil became my world, and I thrived in it. Within a year, I expanded my business even more, opening a second location in a lively downtown square. It wasn't easy. I saved every penny, scouted spots, and took the leap. Soon, my carts buzzed with life. Locals grabbing lunch, kids begging for sweets, strangers praising my food. I hired help, trained them well, and watched my dream take root. I had a stable income now, not just enough to get by, but enough to plan ahead. For the first time, I felt in control of my life, standing tall on ground I'd built myself. It was bittersweet, though. I loved my family, but I could never forget how they treated me. Their mockery still echoed sometimes, a dull ache beneath my pride. I'd see them in passing, Mom's tight-lipped frown, Dad's tired eyes, and feel the distance grow. They never apologized, and I stopped waiting for it. The loss stung, but it also freed me. I didn't need their support to succeed. I'd done it despite them. In the end, I learned that success doesn't come from family approval. It comes from within. Standing at my stand one quiet evening, watching the sun dip below the skyline, I felt it. A steady, unshakable peace. I'd found my own path, carved it through doubt and hard work, and I'll never stop moving forward. There's more to build, more to dream, and I'm ready for it all.